feel free to use the chat feature. Feel free to use the chat feature at any time. For today's agenda, we are going to have welcome and introductions provided by Dr. Chitnis, who's the acting director for NIFA. I will follow with an update for you from the Office of Grants and Financial Management. Next will be Dr. Suresh Warren, who will be providing some program updates. He is the acting deputy director for the Institute of Youth, Family, and Community. And then lastly, we'll wrap up with stakeholder communications feedback that Dr. Suresh Warren and I will facilitate. So without further ado, I'll turn things over to Dr. Chitnis for the welcome and introductions. Parag?
Okay, thanks, Matt. And again, I'm really glad to join this, I think, webinar, talking and conversing with you about the changes that are happening at NIFA, the changes in the programs, and how we can be really oriented to serving you better. If you haven't known, NIFA had changed dramatically in the last year. We have now moved to Kansas City. So we have now 2 locations. In Washington, DC, we have our headquarters with about 20 staff members. And the rest of the positions, about 300, have moved to Kansas City. And in November, we'll move to the building, which is shown in this slide, which is where the panels will be held, PD meetings will be held. I was just kind of looking at our staffing numbers this week. By end of this month, we will have about 195 staff members on permanent staff. Of that, only about 60 are from old NIFA. They were with NIFA a year ago, which means that when we are fully staffed, less than 20% of the staff will be from NIFA a year ago. More than 80% of the staff would have arrived after coming to Kansas City. This is a remarkable change for any organization. And that's one of the reasons why we want to really stay in touch with you and inform you of the changes that are happening. The changes are happening not just the staffing levels, and we have some new staff, including Matt, who just introduced me. He is the new deputy director of NIFA, and his responsibility includes Office of Grants and Financial Management. These are the people who actually get the money out. They are the ones who prepare RFAs. They are really the key, I think, component of NIFA, and have been doing remarkably well, and he'll probably talk about it during this first year in NIFA, in Kansas City. We also have Faith Papers, who joined us as Director of Communications. She came from University of Georgia. So she knows ag colleges and ag research, ag extension really well. And she is really an asset to NIFA, and we'll be in touch with you whenever, I think, in your communications office, and really work and leverage each other's strengths and activities. We also have Brenda Williams, who is the Director of Civil Rights, and she has been very proactive again in getting in touch with our university partners. NIFA is not only like changing in terms of its people, it is changing in terms of its processes, and then later we will talk about the programs that are changing. But in terms of processes, we really obtained like stakeholder feedback over the last year. About a year ago, NIFA's director at that time, the political appointee, Scott Angle, who has now moved to Florida, came to different groups and asked them to send comments about how we can serve you better. We received a number of comments, about 900 of those. They have been analyzed, and those recommendations will be now implemented as we move into our second year in Kansas City. That's where many of the processes will be changed so that we can serve you better. Some of the internal process changes are already yielding results. such as our increased efficiency in implementing programs and being agile to meet your needs. There are new programs that are starting. We had opportunities when the COVID-19 came, when you had to adjust. We immediately responded by providing grants to fulfill the needs, such as training of farm workers or food service workers, or for some research related to animal susceptibility or food processing and impacts of COVID-19 on food supply chain. We are also have now our proposals received for how activities such as informal education or K through 12 education can be adjusted to this era of social distancing. So those new programs, NIFA has been really doing them. One of them I want to highlight is the new investigator seed grants that are being offered through AFRI, our major land program. And those are $300,000 grants for 2 years for new investigators, so they can get their research or extension projects started quickly. And this, we are expected to have high funding rate. And if in the future, if you are faculty or you yourself are interested in those programs, please contact us, and we will be doing webinars and some sessions sometime in the spring, because the deadlines aren't starting until next May. And we will be having those kind of, I think, outreach sessions in like 2020, early 2021. So these are some of the developments I wanted to kind of highlight. Thank you again for this opportunity for me to come and say hello to you. I can see even already the comments that I got. I have some friends in the audience, and I'm really glad to see you here. Bye from now. Matt, take over from here.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chitnis. So we wanted to first, for the OGFM update, is give you a bit of an introduction and provide contact information for some senior staff within the organization. This is to ensure that, if you have any problems, we want to make sure you have direct access to the folks who can address those issues that you may be facing. So you have my email address there that you can reach me directly. I also wanted to let you know that Calvin Mitchell is our new awards management division director. I'm really excited to welcome him to the organization. He is so new that we're still working on getting him his equipment and stuff so he can join sessions like this, but we expect that to happen very quickly. I also wanted to extend my sincere appreciation to Chris Kopenbarger. He had been serving as the acting division director for awards management division the last several months, and he has had significant contributions to NIFA during that period of time. So big thanks to Chris. We also have Waits Rollerson. He's our division director for financial management. Waits, if you've been able to join, I know he had a conflict at this time, but if he's able to join, I just want him to give a shout out to the rest of you and wave to you so you can actually see him. But it doesn't look like he got a break. So unfortunately, we can't show you Waits. Next up, we have our division director for policy and oversight. That's Katina Hansen. I'm pretty sure Katina has joined us today, so I'll let you say hi.
Hi, everyone. I look forward to working with all of you. I came on board in March and have been working away at trying to staff up our policy and oversight division and try to work on any kind of process improvements that we can do to make your lives easier and ours as well. So I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Katina. I think you will all find our division directors to be eager and willing to provide their assistance on anything you may need. Next up, as Parag noted earlier, we had a number of vacancies we needed to focus our attention on getting resources, and I'm proud today to say that we've got about 70% of our vacancies within OGFM filled. This is helping us to provide you with improved grants and financial management services. For example, for the fourth quarter, release of capacity program funds has been completed for FY 2020. Also, for over 95% of our fiscal year 2020 funds have been awarded. That's for capacity and competitive programs. For FY 2021, capacity RFAs have been published. And in today's NIFA update, we have provided the projected RFA publication schedule for FY 2021, and that's the non-AFRI competitive programs. We say these are projected as they are subject to change until they're published in grants.gov. But some really great information in today's NIFA update. We also want to provide a reminder on ASAP. ASAP is Treasury's automated standard application for payment system. So as grant recipients do their drawdowns, just a reminder that Treasury suspends the last 4 working days of each month to I guess, update balances. And so if you're wanting to do a drawdown, be sure to do it before the 4 working days at the end of each month, or you'll just have to do that in the following month. And probably most importantly for all of you, and it's difficult to see on the screen here, it looks, but there are 3 email addresses that you can reach us at for specific questions. So the first one is awards@usda.gov. If you have any questions on competitive grants, if you reach out to us at that address, we have a team of people that are monitoring and responding to that address. If you have questions on capacity grants, that's this next one, which is capacity grant questions at usda.gov, and we'll have a team of people responding to that. Lastly, if you have any questions on ASAP, the address is asapcustomerservice@usda.gov. So next up, we have Dr. Suresh Warren to provide the programs update. Suresh?
Thank you. Again, thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon. I really want to start off by introducing some new staff. First person is Dr. Peter Motawali, who has joined as the director for the division. Peter, if you are there, just introduce yourself.
Thank you, Suresh, and it's my pleasure to be here. I just started in the end of June, so I'm learning all about the program. So I really look forward to this session and hearing all your input. Thank you.
And Irma Lawrence, I think most of you know her. She has been with us for a long time, leading the Hispanic-Serving Institutions Grant Program. Irma?
Welcome everyone. This is Irma Lawrence. Appreciate you joining us in this listening session. Looking forward to continue working with you.
Kellyanne is one of our new program specialists. She will be working primarily with the Hispanic-Serving Institutions program. Kellyanne?
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to working with many of you in the future.
And we also have Dorisal, who has joined us recently. Her name is not listed here, but Dorisal.
Hello, everyone. I am Dorisal Resto, and I working in those for a few years, like as intern. Now I am a program specialist, and I am here to help you too.
Thanks, everyone. These are the people that you need to contact primarily with anything to do with Hispanic-Serving Institution program. You can also contact all the people Matt identified, or you can contact me or Parag. Fitness. I will first start off with a program that most of you know, the Hispanic-Serving Institution program. In 2020, we have $11 million appropriated for this program. The primary purpose is to strengthen the capacity of Hispanic-Serving institutions to teach food and agricultural sciences. I have worked with Irma Lawrence on this program for some time. The most impressive thing that I have seen in this program is the quality of students that we graduate through these programs, the students who have been supported. In fact, one of those students have been recruited by NIFA to be one of our national program leaders. That shows the quality of programs, quality of students that come through the Hispanic serving institutions in the nation. Please remember that the next deadline for submitting applications is January 26th, 27th and 28th for different dates for different types of grants. The request for application is on our website. There are a few programs that I would like to highlight that I think would be of interest to Hispanic serving institutions. We don't receive many applications to these programs from Hispanic serving institutions. Dr. Chickness earlier mentioned about Agricultural Food Research Initiative, or AFRI. AFRI is our largest competitive grant program. It has $425 million in funding. I don't know how many of you know, we have about, NIFA as an agency has about $1.8 billion in appropriation in 2020, $1.8 billion. AFRI has $425 million. AFRI supports education, research, extension, and integrated projects and has 3 different RFAs. Sustainable Agricultural Systems RFA will be published soon. These are huge grants, $10 million each. So you need to start thinking about, if you're interested in a particular topic, you can look at last year's RFA on our website, but the RFA changes each year, and start thinking about putting together a collaboration, because for $10 million, it won't be one institution. It has to be large projects that have a huge impact. We also have the foundational programs, which has 6 different topic areas. And then we have the education and workforce development RFA, where we published pre and postdoc fellowships, opportunities for training K through 14 students, REEU, or opportunities to provide internship experience, research and extension-based internship experience for our undergraduate students, and workforce training programs, especially through community colleges. Several different grant opportunities where we can have more applications. Some of these programs don't get sufficient applications. There was a question yesterday about funding rates and NIFA programs being highly competitive. Some of these programs like REU has a funding rate of about 25%. 1 in 4 get funded. So we would like to see more applications through these programs. This is more information about the education and workforce development programs, $49 million in funding. The agricultural workforce training grants focuses on community colleges, junior and technical colleges. The deadline is 24th September, next week. It's a new program. Not many people know of this program. We didn't get sufficient applications last year. This program started last year. And we are hoping over time that we will receive more applications and we'll be able to help train more people for the food and agriculture industry. I have listed on this slide the people to contact if you are interested in this program, given deadlines, and also provided the web address for this program. We talked earlier about AFRI, and we are still talking about AFRI. One of the opportunities that we have under AFRI is the FACE opportunities. These are special opportunities to support small institutions, minority serving institutions. 15% of AFRI funding is set aside for new investigator grants, strengthening grants, and pre and postdoctoral fellowships grants. 15% of 425 is set aside. Strengthening grants limited to small and mid-sized or minority-serving degree granting institutions. All Hispanic-serving institutions should fall under this group. I have one page here which we have, where we have listed several of our websites. One of those websites is the Education Stakeholder Information website. These slides and any recommendations that you have that we really act on will be discussed on that website. This is where we have a log of stakeholder input. What have we received? Where have we responded? What have we done? Next, Matt and I are going to lead a question and answer session. If you have questions, please go ahead and start writing it on your chat. We would like to definitely talk about 3 topics. How can we enhance HSI stakeholder NIFA communication? If you want these kinds of meetings, the format, frequency, content, and communication vehicles. The second question is, how can we increase applications to NIFA programs? And the third question is grant management needs. We know that there are some Hispanic serving institutions that are large, extremely large. There are also some that are small and may find it difficult to compete in our grant programs or manage our grant programs. What can NIFA do to help promote food and agriculture workforce development? There are some limitations, legislatively mandated programs, we have to follow legislations, but any suggestions that we have would be useful. While you write the questions, we have already received about 5 questions ahead of time. And I'm going to read the questions. If it's a long question, I'm going to summarize it and give our response. The first question was, what short and long-term efforts are being made in proposal selection process that support Hispanic and underserved minority students being educated from institutions that issue in agricultural science degrees? Basically, what do we have to help HSIs? And many of our eligibility and evaluation criteria are either legislatively determined and are driven by policy and regulations. It's not easy to change any of those. It's given to us. But the AFRI program has something called FACE, the Food and Agricultural Science Enhancement Grants. I had a slide put in today to address this question. FACE grants, which sets aside 15% of funding, and that includes money for applications from Hispanic serving institutions. Third, it's not only AFRI, but there are many other programs across the agency that give preference to minority serving institutions. Another program is the Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program, gives preference to minority serving institutions. The second question we got was, what procedures are in place to include stakeholder input and counsel prior to the creation or modification of a program RFA? The question is, where do we get stakeholder information on how do we change RFAs? All RFAs request for stakeholder input on page 2 of the RFA, where you need to, the place to submit stakeholder information is policy@nifa.usda.gov, policy@nifa.usda.gov. That should have changed. Sorry, it should be policy@usda.gov. It should be policy@usda.gov. Although it is not encouraged, you can also send your feedback to Matt or myself. We have our email addresses on the next page. Please feel free to send any of your feedback about this stakeholder meeting or any other feedback to either of us. We also have special pages on our program page where we have stakeholder input. I talked about the education stakeholder input page. The third question we got was the number of HSIs are growing, but the money allocated to this program is not increasing. What can we do to provide additional support for HISAKUs? One thing is for Hispanic Serving Institutions program, appropriation increased from $9.2 million in 2019 to $11.2 million in 2020. Appropriation increased by $2 million. NIFA is committed to capacity building at minority serving institutions. It's one of our priorities. We will always continue to serve and emphasize minority serving institutions. But budget decisions are made by Congress. As the executive branch, we implement programs and cannot lobby for any increase in funding. Fourth question, land grant institutions do not show mercy on Hispanic serving institutions and don't want to see money going to these institutions. Is there a way to set certain percentage of funding to HSIs within each funding category? I talked about AFRI and the FACE category, but I'm not sure whether that is really the issue. We have conducted several analyses to find out how we can increase funding to minority serving institutions. When we looked at funding rates is number of awards per number of applications received. The funding rates are the same for minority serving institutions and to the 1862 land grant universities. Proposal selection are made by peer review panels that are very diversified in terms of types of institutions, geography, race, gender, etc. This morning when I saw this question, I looked at our data for education and workforce development, and I saw that 10% of our panelists came from Hispanic serving institutions. That's a lot. And about 30% of the panelists come from non-land grant institutions. Again, that's a lot because given that most of our applications come from land grant, we have more people in the panel from non-land grant. When I look at all these numbers, there are two things that I would like to ask for your assistance. First is to increase the number of applications that you submit for several of our programs. The funding rate is the same. You get less grants because we get less applications from minority serving institutions. Second, we need to continue to maintain the diversity of panels. We need your help. We need you to come volunteer to serve on peer review panels. If you are interested, please send your resume and the programs that you are interested in an email to me, Matt, or to Irma, or to Peter. All of us are here to show our interest in Hispanic serving institutions. If you send us your resume and express interest, we'll be happy to consider you for your panels. The final question I got was, some of the reviews merely cut and paste project summaries or statements from the proposals without providing a fair review. Is this something the NPLs take into consideration to assemble fair reviewers and fair panels. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We need to help provide better feedback in our reviews. It's important for us to do that because it helps to build capacity at minority serving institutions. The reviews are important. Take it seriously. I have seen many applications that were resubmitted being more successful second time around. Don't get discouraged because you got one declined letter. Take the feedback and resubmit. But we will share those comments with other NPLs in the agency to be more conscious of the feedback that we provide to our grantees. Again, thanks for the feedback. I'm going to go back and address any questions you have. Matt, do they have any questions that you want to address?
It looks like many of them have been addressed in the chat. The one that I didn't see addressed was, what is the maximum enrollment of a mid-sized university? And I don't know that I understand that question.
It's for the FACE program. I think it is 17,500. It is on our AFRI RFA and website. I have given the FACE website as a link. If I remember offhand, it is 17,500.
The next one is, can you explain funding situation for 2021? More funds or less?
We don't have an appropriation. We are operating under continued resolution. Katina, do you want to say anything?
Is that we are waiting to see what Congress does. So we don't have any new information about the FY21 funding situation.
The next question is, for collaboration application, can Hispanic serving institution collaborate with a non-Hispanic serving institution?
I'm going to direct that to Irma.
Yes. However, the collaboration projects require a minimum number of HSIs, and I believe it's 2. So 2 institutions that are HSIs could add a third institution that is not an HSI. In the other projects, of course, it's only 1 HSI, and you could add another collaborator that is not an HSI.
There are questions about sharing this recording and stuff like that. We need to get it cleared, but we hope to post it on our website and we will try to share it. Matt, any others?
We have I'm just trying to see if some of these have been addressed, but I think here's one. We are a mid-sized HSI, and we have applied several times to NIFA, FASE competitions, but unsuccessfully. We never got reviewer comments going forward. Will Ray, Ali give us reviewer comments? I think you kind of addressed it already, Sharez, that comments are always supposed to be provided. So if you don't get them, I would reach out to any one of us and we will ensure that you receive that feedback.
I'm not sure whether Brenda joined late or Faith, did you join late?
Yes, I'm here, Sharez.
Brenda, just say a few words and introduce yourself about your unit, please.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Brenda Williams. I'm the Director of Equal Opportunity and Civil Rights. I've been with NIFA about 4 months, so I look forward to working with each one of you in regards to providing training resources, and then also working with you all on our civil rights compliance reviews.
Thanks, Brenda, for joining. Faith?
Hi, everyone. I'm Faith Peppers, and I'm Director of NIFA Communication, and I joined NIFA the 1st of June, but I've been affiliated through a land-grant university for 27 years. I'm happy to be here and looking forward to doing anything I can do that's going to help you get the information you need to produce good press releases and announcements about your NIFA funding.
Someone has asked about the SAS RFA and letters of intent. Please wait till the RFA gets published in October. That's what Dr. Chitnas has replied. Matt, any more?
Yeah, we have another question. Are there any programs specific to two-year community colleges except the SPECA grant? Which grants community colleges are eligible or not eligible?
There are quite a few for two-year community colleges. One of those is called VANS, Women and Minorities in Agriculture. That should be published soon. There are also quite a few under the Free Education and Workforce Development RFA. The RFA, we are working on it right now. I think it should get published sometime in December or January. Carlos Otis is the national program leader for K through 14 portfolio. He's the person that I referred to earlier as a Hispanic Serving Institution grant person, a student who benefited from the grant and who has joined us as the national program leader. He knows the Hispanic Serving Institution program very well. The best way to locate our staff is to go on our website and search for it. And otherwise, it's the first name, period, last name at usda.gov.
We have another question. Are there forums for HSI awardees to interact and identify areas of collaboration for training and curriculum development?
Dr. Lawrence.
Yes, we have a welcome meeting last month in November. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kellyanne, November 17. We're planning the RFA webinar, and it's with an expected deadline of January. What we're trying to do is give the opportunity, now that we have Zoom and we're all getting very proficient, to actually meet each other and see who wants to work with whom and who has commonalities with each other. We have done that in the past, and we usually involve the current grantees. But what we're trying to do this year is open it up to other people that are not grantees, so we could develop these learning communities that I believe on.
There is a question, I think, for Waits. I'm not sure whether Waits is here. Did he join?
He is. He joined us.
Yes, I'm
Oh, Waits, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Waits Rollerson. I'm the Financial Management Division Director. Been with NIFA about 10 months post the transition to Kansas City. So it's looking forward to working with you all.
Waits, there is a question there from Michael Parsons about a grant that was awarded a month and a half ago, but still doesn't have access to the account. Is it better for him to get in touch with you directly?
Yes, I'd actually already taken a screenshot of that and was planning to follow up on that as soon as I can. So I would be happy to look into that and try to resolve that situation.
If you have delays in any of these type of issues, Waits is the person. He has this purse, access to the purse.
There's another question, probably for Irma. Can a HSI collaborate with a community college for a NIFA grant?
Yes, of course. The collaboration projects, I have encouraged everyone to reach out forward and reach out back, meaning if a four-year institution could work with a two-year program, and a four institution could actually work with an institution that offers a graduate program.
Ashima had asked a question about number of proposals to be reviewed. We agree, Ashima, that We have reduced the number of proposals that each reviewer reads. Previously, it used to be close to around 20. Now we have gone down to around 12. And some programs, it's 10. If you have the expertise, we would like you to review applications for us. Let us know.
Got another question here. Is there a program directors meeting this year for the HSI education grant?
This is Irma again, and we had our meeting in March before coronavirus and social distancing hit us. I'm not sure 2021 will bring a PD's meeting, at least in the early first or second or maybe third quarter. So let us all keep us posted. 2020, it's almost gone, I guess. So we might, very unlikely, will have a PD's meeting for the 2020. We'll have you join the 2021 if we all are ready to have one.
Alison has a question about FACE. FACE is part of AFRI. Look at AFRI applications. The foundational programs AFRI request for application should be published early in spring, and you should be able to apply for FACE grants.
We got another question about could NIFA also do a webinar with presentations on successful NIFA grant-funded programs at a minority-serving institution?
Great idea. And that's one of the purpose for this meeting, is to get ideas like that. We'll be happy to consider that, and great idea, thanks. Do you want it for all minority serving institutions? If you have any other feedback, suggestions, just feel free to send us an email.
Another question on what kind of expertise is required for being a reviewer?
It varies from topic to topic and program to program. For beginning farmers and ranchers development program, we take people from community-based organizations, community colleges, universities, non-government, very diversified. For other more academic programs like Hispanic-Serving institutions and pre-doc and AFRI, we take mostly people from USDA or federal science laboratories or universities. If it is highly scientific, we look at publications. We want peers. Peers means like if our application comes for a highly specialized research program, then we need people from highly specialized research to review. It's a peer review program.
We have another suggestion that, building on Ruby De La Garza's comment, it would be valuable to set up a network for HSIs to communicate. And another request for can we provide a link or calendar invitation for the call on the 2021 HSI RFA on 11/17 question mark.
Kellyanne.
Yes, I will include a save the date for this call on the 17th in the follow-up email from this call.
Next question is, should applicants contact program officers to discuss grant proposal concepts prior to submission?
You are not required to, but you are encouraged to. Some programs will require you, but most programs don't require you, but encourage you to. It saves a lot of time. You need to spend weeks writing a good RFA, and we spend weeks reviewing applications. It saves all our time if you contact the NPL National Program Leader and have a quick chat.
Next question is, will there be conference ideas, lab grants available for innovative proposal developments? Team science, I guess these are examples focused on wicked problems.
NIFA at the moment is considering relaunching grantsmanship workshops. We used to have large grantsmanship activities and also regional grantsmanship activities. We are considering relaunching, but COVID and also because of staff shortages, things are a little bit delayed, but we will be doing that. Meanwhile, if there is a severe need, contact Irma, provide her with suggestions, and she can organize a smaller one if needed for the Hispanic serving institutions. Focus on other programs. Don't focus on the Hispanic serving institution program that you know very well. There are lots of programs across the agency where you have more opportunities, where we will like to see more applications from Hispanic serving institutions.
We have another question on, are there any specific priorities for the upcoming HSI conference?
Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, for the conference opportunity, we don't have any specific priorities. I would like to suggest how to deal in the classroom with social distancing, use the different medias that you could use to teach online, and things that are right now pressing you all. I've been trying through the working with the grantees to figure out and what kind of platforms you're using, what kind of things you're doing to help each other. But if you were to organize a conference in these topics that are kind of very current and kind of pressing, that would be very helpful. In addition to the different disciplines that you offer.
I think the last one I see here so far is that for the proposals submitted to the National Science Foundation, RFPs, with NIFA funding option, are there different success rates than submissions via USDA?
I don't know. I am not involved with those programs. I don't know is the answer, but if you send me an email, I can check and find out and respond to you directly.
I think that's, we're caught up at the moment unless we have anyone typing, send any more questions.
Does anyone want to say something?
I would like to ask a couple of questions. Do you think this format, these kinds of outreach is useful, open to not only our grantees, but to everyone, all the Hispanic serving institutions, well publicized? I'm getting some feedback saying, yes, thanks, okay.
Yeah.
How often do you want it, once in 6 months? Or give me some suggestion, how often do you want it? When do you want it?
Quarterly, 2 to 3 months, maybe 6 months, at least annually or twice per year.
Thanks for the feedback. How can we increase applications? We had got, I think we received a couple of suggestions. One is to organize a webinar from institutions, from PDs at institutions, minority serving institutions, successful PDs to talk about their projects. We also got another suggestion to start a network of Hispanic serving institutions. For that, I think you need to talk to Irma because there might be other alternatives available. Talk to her. More webinars on AFRI and FACE.
Webinar should have a panel discussion session.
Thank you. Lots of useful suggestions. I keep nodding, but yeah.
This is Irma. A quick question on the webinar. Should have a panel. Could you add a little bit of detail? You mean should we have a webinar on the RFA and have 4 current grantees present a project? Is that what you're thinking of on the panel?
Hi, I've unmuted myself. This is Surya. So what I meant by a panel discussion is where we can ask questions and it's a more spontaneous discussion rather than writing questions and it being more formal.
One of the reasons we wanted written chat questions is that we had 220 people register for this meeting. It's pretty difficult to handle. And the other thing was we wanted it in writing, really, for us to see and respond later on. We want to act on some of your suggestions.
Much appreciated, of course.
This is Irma. One of the things I do when I do the RFA webinar is I leave like 30 minutes for after the webinar for people to ask questions. So those will be live and you know, you raise your hand and we could actually communicate without typing. But for these,
Irma, do you have a seed grant program in HSI?
no, I don't have a grant. We have a bridge program, and every year we ask the panelists to see if the proposals they read, if they are first-time submission and they have never received a grant, if although the proposal did not score as high, but the idea is very, very good and promising, if they will consider. So we do have a bridge grant, but not seed funding.
Yeah, this is from Aaron Fox. There are several programs at NIFA that have seed grants. These are smaller grants. You might be able to obtain a seed grant to organize a conference where you can put together teams to run larger applications. One of those is SPECA. SPECA has seed grants. And AFRI, I think, has seed grants too.
We have another request that it would be nice to have training for the grants office and accounting offices at small HSIs. So I think that's probably for OGFM to put together a program.
Matt, do you know anything about NIROC, or can you say a couple of sentences about what NIROC is? Matt or Katina or any OGFM paper?
Go ahead.
Just they are working on the NIROC agenda for next year. And so I know that they're been drafting that and getting close to having a draft agenda together. Folks have been meeting on it, and I know that any input that you would have as far as what we could put on the agenda, you could send that to me and I can get it to the folks from NIFA that are working on building out that agenda.
NIROC is something that NIFA organizes in collaboration with land-grant colleges, but I don't think there's anything that stops Hispanic-Serving institutions from attending. I need to talk to Katina about it. But this is really to train the administrative staff at several institutions on grants management practices, legal requirements, money management practices. It's a good thing, and if NIROC cannot help with Hispanic-Serving institutions, can we do something similar on webinar or something worth thinking about?
Yeah, definitely. I know that, you know, as we get staffed up, we're really thinking about what kind of resources that we can provide to all of our partners, and definitely working with those accounting offices is really important, and administrative offices. So we will definitely keep this in mind and see what we can do as far as building out a special training.
Thanks, Katina. Again, thanks everyone for coming. It was a 1 hour session. The 1 hour flew past so soon. Lots of questions, lots of useful discussions and suggestions. We will go through chat comments again, and we will respond to many of these as we can, and we will post it on our website. If you have additional comments, go ahead, feel free to send it to any of us. Again, thank you, and look forward to working with you in helping to build capacity at Hispanic-Serving institutions. Again, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you all for your participation too. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.